Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy pre-Mother's Day Saturday, and welcome back to all of you who have chosen to make our Saturdays together a kind of a ritual, and to so many of you who are checking in for the first time from all over the world. It's always so wonderful to say hello, Dublin, hello, Italy, hello, Australia, mates, and the West Indies. I'm delighted that you all are here. And as I was getting ready, I got to enjoy the WWD 360 coaches along with you. It's so inspiring to hear how each coach has their own deeply personal wellness journey and how WW helps you all stay so focused. I love Coach Shayla's message of having things that you're grateful for. Gratitude is my religion. I practice it regularly. So I've been saying the first thing I'm going to do when things open up is have a taco party for all my friends. And maybe we'll try Lisa's apple pie recipe too. We'll get on that, Lisa. In the meantime, I so look forward to gathering with all of you on these Saturdays because I know how valuable it is to create and maintain a ritual focused on staying well. WW calls it a habit loop, meaning that the more you can commit to something that happens at the same time, like these Saturday gatherings or a Sunday walk with a friend, the stronger and easier the ritual becomes. Plus, being with people who all share a desire to live and be well brings a collective sense of focus that is so needed right now. These are your people right here, all looking for the same things that you are. This is your tribe, all right? So your wellness tribe. This past year has challenged all of us in ways that, we didn't know we could be challenged. I mean, sometimes I wake up and say, Jesus, I learned all I needed to know yesterday, last week. Don't teach me nothing new today. So just like those of you who shared in the video a few moments ago, your mental and physical well-being, I know, had to take a back seat in order to just make it through. And I know some of you joining us from around the world are still coping with restrictions, while others continue to face just more and more and more loss. So we hold you in our hearts. We honor that space for you. And this is something that I have come to believe and to know, that the most beautiful thing about humanity is that the moments when we are most tested are the moments where hope also most abides. And through the darkness, you are here, and that means you're already emerging stronger. You are rising stronger, you're bolder, you're more brilliant, because just like I said when this show started, the light of possibility is ready to shine for you, for all of us, if we will open ourselves up to it, to receive the light. I receive the light. So I've been talking a lot recently about the word resilience because Dr. Bruce Perry, a renowned trauma and brain development expert, and I have written a new book together called What Happened to You? It's a #1 bestseller, thanks to all of you who helped make that so. And one of the things that stuck out to me when I was having these conversations with Dr. Perry and writing the book is that he explained so brilliantly about resilience, because people are always saying kids are resilient, they'll get over it, they're resilient. But he says resilience is that many people think it means the ability to bounce back like a Nerf ball, right? But Dr. Perry says resilience is actually more like a bent hanger, like if you bend a hanger to try to get something out of a hole. You bend the hanger may still be able to hold things, but it's never going to have the exact shape when you pull it out, correct? So I love that. So just like the hanger, he says, resilience does not mean you're a Nerf ball, that everything goes back to what it was. So we are making a comeback to exactly what we were. It doesn't mean that. It means we can return to a new way of being in the world, but where you were bent, where you were dent, they're still there. And those dents need to be acknowledged. Don't act like that didn't happen. Don't act like you didn't just survive a freaking pandemic. Don't act like you didn't survive a world global crisis. So resilience is really about using that knowledge and then making small steps forward, knowing you've been changed. I know I've been changed. You cannot have survived this year and not have been changed, but being able to know that and then with a resolve to forge ahead. Yep, you got some dents and some bents, but yes, you still hanging in. So just make the first right decision. This is what I've always done in a crisis, and I've had a few in my life. You just make the next right decision. You focus on the moment right now in front of you. And then when the next moment comes, you make the next right decision. I have found that this applies to all areas of your life. It applies to your health. It applies to your relationships. It works for your career. It especially works for your finances. If the money ain't there for the bills, you pay the next right bill that's in front of you. And then the next right one. It's about finding your focus, acknowledging what you've experienced, and ultimately creating your own forward momentum. Making responsible choices, as we all know, brings responsible results. And that's how you get there, by making what is the next right choice by choice. You start moving with new strength and new confidence. And that's what springing forward stronger means to me. So I know that creating the space for yourself this past year has been one of the great challenges, but I believe that this Mother's Day weekend could be a turning point for you. And you know what I've learned? Martha Beck says this in her new book, The Way of Integrity. You don't have to make a complete turn. You just need a little bitty pivot, a little bitty pivot. So if after today, this morning, this time together with all the people who are in the same space, consciousness as you, let's just make a little bitty pivot in the direction of yourself. I think it's symbolic for mothers and parents and all caregivers who did what they needed to do to care for everyone around them to be celebrated. And I know everybody on here with me today has put other people ahead of yourself. So this moment, this time, is about just not a big turn, because I know you're not going to do that, because you're going to think that's oh so selfish, and I just can't, and I have all these responsibilities. So not a big turn, just a little pivot in the direction towards you. So let's all take a breath and make a little pivot towards yourself. Okay? Feel that? Just a little one, and a little one, and a little one. Before you know it, you got a quarter turn. Before you know it, you got a full 180. And then before you know it, you again a full-blown 360, but just one little pivot at a time, okay? So I actually think that Mother's Day should be reimagined this year, because mothers, listen, y'all have carried the heaviest load. You always have. I have the greatest respect in the world for mothers who are just trying to do it right, because there's nothing like it. They haven't just been the backbone, they've been the steel spine shouldering every burden. That's what you mothers have done. So give yourself a high five right now. And I've always said that being a mother is just the toughest, it is the toughest job in the world. But in these, that's why I chose to only have daughters after they were 12. It worked out better for me that way. But I admire all of y'all with the babies, raising them from the beginning. But in these extraordinary times, what if we expand Mother's Day this year to include all those parents and those grandparents and those caregivers in general, the real life superheroes in our lives who have just carried us through this pandemic? And so as Shayla was saying, Coach Shayla was saying earlier about being grateful, think about the people whom you have helped carry and the people who have been there for you in this moment. And just have a moment of gratitude for that. Whoa. And with that in mind, take a look at our beautiful on-camera audience today. We are calling them our 100 Strong in celebration. Hello, you 100 Strong. Hello, 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 hello. Because in celebration of a reimagined Mother's Day, every person you see in our on-camera Zoom gallery today has been invited to be in this audience. Hello, you're welcome. Their stories represent the millions of you unsung heroes who chose to put the needs of others ahead of their own in order to hold everything together and keep all of the trains on the tracks. They were the teacher, they were the family doctor, They were the full-time employee. They were the family IT specialist. You were the chef. You were the playmate. You were the caregiver. You were the nurse. You were the nurturer. You were the person coming up with ideas to keeping everybody entertained and occupied. It's exhausting just thinking about the list. So Marcy is a mom of two, forced to leave a job she loved to take care of her family during lockdown, a really difficult decision that so many women had to make, millions made this past year. So Marcy, I'm hoping today helps show you how you can begin to spring forward. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to be speaking with you today, Oprah. I just feel like I am here on purpose. This is the universe bringing me here to speak with you today.
Well, good. I hope you receive exactly what you needed, and that is my deepest desire for everybody who is with us today. And listen, you started out great because you look great. That is a fantastic top.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a very springy thing, springing forward.
Thank you.
Dr. Tamika Blake shared with us that she is an emergency room doctor and mother of three who spent this year managing unprecedented stress in the emergency room. Can you imagine you're in the emergency room? I'll just think about that for a moment. You're in the emergency room during COVID with all that's coming in all the time, and now having to go home to three children and now manage that at home. And so there was a lot of anxiety for Dr. Tamika over bringing illness home to her family, while at the same time making sure her children kept up in virtual school. You're one of those warrior women. Hello, Dr. Tamika, how are you?
Hi, Oprah. It's such a pleasure to be here. You know, at the height of the pandemic, it was really challenging. You know, seeing so many sick patients in such a short amount of time, it was so much tragedy and devastation. And when you're giving your all and you sometimes feel like your all is not good enough, you'd get helpless at times. And then I'd have to go home and be a wife and a mom of three kids, 10, 11, and 19. And now we were on virtual school because everything was locked down. It was really crazy. We had to figure out this whole virtual life, and it was a little bit of mayhem, but we had to make it through.
Wow. Hats off to you and every other mom who has done that. You know what I wonder is when you are faced with, and I did several interviews over the past year with nurses and doctors from around the world who talked about this. You know, you're in the business of seeing death, but to see it in volume as you did, how do you like shake off the death and then walk home, literally, step into your house, shed your clothes, and now your kids have a very different expectation of you?
You know, it's difficult. You know, you have to have that hat of doctor, and then you have to still be a mom when you go home. So I try not to take that tragedy home with me. And my family is my foundation. You know, I'd have to go home, strip. I'm like, stop, don't touch me. I got to get in the shower and decontaminate myself. And they understood. My daughter would say, Mommy, please don't bring home Corona. And I just wanted my family to be safe.
Wow. Well, we're grateful you're here. Thank you, Dr. Tamika. So Jake and Sean, I hear you welcome triplets during the pandemic. Oh, Lord. When I heard this, I was like, okay, I guess other people were having babies and triplets, but the thought of adding triplets to an already complicated life, congratulations. I know you both took a back seat since you've had the babies.
Thank you, Oprah. We're so happy to be here, and we welcomed our beautiful triplets this year, and it was definitely challenging. There were some challenges getting them here, but we're so happy that they're here.
Yeah, it takes a lot. I mean, you think it's going to be hard, and then it's so much harder. It's been a lot for us to care about ourselves when you're caring for three other humans. So we're really excited to be here and get some tips and, you know, like you said, shine some hope on this whole experience.
All right, we're ready to shine. Thank you. Triplets. Okay. Dr. Anita Phillips is here to help us spring forward stronger. She is a therapist and host of the In the Light podcast. I love that title because don't we all want to be standing in the light? Don't we want to invite the light into our lives? And Dr. Anita says, reclaiming ourselves starts with breaking all the rules. Really? Hi, Dr. Anita.
Hi, Oprah. How are you?
I'm so great. What do you mean when you say breaking all the rules?
Well, we got into this position because so many rules broke that we never thought would break. I mean, my kids go to school every day. That was a rule. I don't have a job that lets me work from home. We thought that was a rule. My family goes to church together every Sunday morning, and now we haven't done that in a year. All these rules got broken, and it's so disconcerting. But I think it's really important as we make this commitment to reclaim ourselves that we are willing to break all of the rules that would lead us to reclaim the status quo instead of reclaiming us.
I love that. You also say that this is a time to think about what did work for us this year. I think that's a really good point because I feel that there's so much lamentation going on about what didn't work and how isolated and how lonely and how tough it was. But to make a pivot toward what did work.
That I completely agree with you. We're living at this intersection of grief and gratitude, and that's such a tender, tenuous place. And sometimes we're overwhelmed by the grief part, but we are allowed to be grateful in the presence of that grief. And so just giving yourself permission to think about what you really are grateful for out of this time, that I didn't have to commute 3 hours a day anymore, that I did get to spend extra time with my kids no matter what. You know, my almost adult children came home during the pandemic. So we were empty nest and then we weren't. And I ended up being so grateful for that because I got extra opportunity to pour into their lives at an age where they'd be out figuring it out on their own. And so let's change that rule. Maybe we don't rush our kids out of the house so much because that worked out well. So I think looking at what we found out, maybe you found out you hate your job. Maybe you found out that you really want to go back to school. So how do you show gratitude for those things and then incorporate them into how you choose to go forward stronger?
That's huge. Dr. Anita helped us design our workbook pages today, and they are geared toward acknowledging what we have experienced, also celebrating the strengths that we never knew we had. So let's get to them now. Bring out your workbooks. The workbook pages were included in that email that we sent you when you registered at www.com, Your Life in Focus. And you can still go there now to register and get your workbook, including all of you folks who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. We're also going to put the pages up on the screen so you can either write down your answers at home, or if you're on the Zoom, you can enter your answers at the prompts that are on your phone or laptop. And then Zoom is going to tally our collective score. So I think it's so valuable to understand how we're all doing as a whole. You know, a lot of times when you are going through something, this is what I learned early on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and why the very first day I said the show was established to let people know they weren't alone. Because you're going through it, you think you're the only one. You're only one. Now we're going to find out, obviously, you are not the only one. It feels like it when you're in it. You're the only one, and nobody could be as burdened as you. But okay, go to page 1 at the top of our workbook pages. It starts with the principle of strength that has been a major foundation for me. So this is what I say. What I know for sure is that everything that has happened to you was also happening for you. And all that time and all of those moments, the things appeared to be happening to you, you were building strength. And strength times strength times strength equals power. That's why we have so many powerful women here today. Look at all the strength that you built just this year, and you've come out stronger and more powerful. Let's have an acknowledgement of that. So the next section of the workbook says, preparing to spring forward begins with first acknowledging what happened to you. And I'm not just trying to plug a book here. I really do believe that that's one of the most important questions that anybody can ask. And the reason I came up with this idea for the book is that when I was interviewing Dr. Bruce Perry years ago for a 60 Minutes episode, we were doing on trauma and children. And he said, everybody always asks what's wrong with these kids when the most important question really is what's happened to these kids. And I think the same thing is true for all of us. not what's wrong, why do I feel this way, but what happened, and to acknowledge what happened to you this year and the strength it took to get through a global crisis that we see many people in the world, particularly in India and Southeast Asia right now, are still suffering from in dire straits. So in the workbook, you'll see the first two boxes are already checked because we all shared these experiences. The presence of a global illness, a virus that we could not see that's killing loved ones all around us, killing people we know and don't know. Number two, uncertainty about the future. We all experienced this together and had this collective unknowing when most of us have gone through life with a certain assurance. Number one, that you can walk outside, literally, go to a restaurant, go to work, and feel safe. That was all gone. So collectively, we endured that. So those two alone are enough to knock anybody off course, right, Dr. Anita?
For sure. A major change in one area of our lives is going to send ripples out through every other area. And so whether it's something, even if it's something great, like you got married or you moved to a new city or started your dream job, it still takes time to reestablish your emotional rhythm in that new space. When what happened is not voluntary and it's deeply painful, it takes even longer to get to a new emotional rhythm. And we all experienced way more than one a year. We experienced at least these two, which was enough to wipe us out. And then many people experienced many more.
I think that's a really great term, emotional rhythm, because I think that's what a lot of people are feeling and haven't been able to articulate. So thank you for doing that for us. Your emotional rhythms were off, you know? That's why a lot of people have, you know, foggy brain. And I know I experience this all the time. Like every Friday, Steb and I go, "It's Friday again?" It's, you know, and you've kind of, anybody else, can I get a witness? You kind of lost track of time because you have all of these things that you used to measure time with. Oh, next week I'm going to do, and I'm going to go. And so when you're just in the same space, you kind of lose your emotional rhythm. I love that. So there were so many additional challenges you faced this year. In your workbook, use a pen to check the box that applies to you. Or if you're using the digital pages, use a piece of paper to write down the stresses below that you face. So here we go. Illness, check that. Financial distress, relationship tension, the death of a loved one or ones. Everyone had this with children, unexpectedly educating your children at home. A heightened risk as an essential worker. Community division, political and racial stress. Missed milestone rituals like weddings or graduations or anniversaries or family reunions or funerals. Feeling a sense of responsibility overload. Feeling alone, lonely, social isolation. Having a diminished sense of health and wellness, increased anxiety, or fatigue, or sleeplessness, or weight gain, or all of them. And then any other experiences or challenges you faced this year. Write that down. And now, add up how many additional challenges you checked, And in the box you see on your Zoom screen, click on that total number range. And don't forget to hit submit. So that range is 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12. And so before we go any further, let's just pause for a moment and reflect on the challenges you faced in this extraordinary time, the things that you just checked off here. So this was, if I may say, a time of endurance. Let's acknowledge that. And you made it. You made it to here. You made it to this morning and the seat you're sitting in right now. I mean, let's have a amen, hallelujah for that. Let's just take a breath and acknowledge that. And accept that, accept, celebrate, honor, have reverence for the fact that in this moment you are here. In this moment, you are well. I know when Coach Shayla was saying, write down the things that you are most grateful for. I always start with sinus rhythm. I always start with my heart is beating in sinus rhythm. Isn't that a blessing? So, okay, who would like to share their score? Okay. So I'm ready to see our collective results. Ready to see our collective results. I see some people on the screen there. Okay, Ashley, hello. I see you, Ashley Sarens, is it? Sarens.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Signs.
Hi, Saris. Okay. So what was your score?
I had 5.
Okay. Anybody else?
And
Felicia, I see you up there. Felicia Fair. See, that's an 8, right? I think that's an 8. Okay, so let me just tell you all a little about this. Ready to see our collective results. 13% of you had 0 to 2 additional challenges, 13%. 47% had 3 to 5.
Wow.
32% had 6 to 8. 9% had 9 to 12. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, I see a 12 up there. Is that Martine? Felipe? 12? That is a lot. Somebody open up Martine's microphone. Martine, let's hear it.
There. Hey, Oprah. Yes, all 12. All 12.
Wow.
It was a tough year. Absolutely challenging year. I'm just grateful to be here. I'm also grateful that I got to kick off 2020 at your event in Atlanta because that was so impactful. And a lot of the lessons I learned are the lessons that carried me through this challenging year. So I'm just grateful to be here, grateful for you, grateful for the Weight Watchers team for ensuring that we even had more virtual events throughout this year to help us replenish us and to ensure that we can practice intentionality and resilience because it's definitely a blessing.
Well, we want to be clear. Thank you so much, Martine. We want to be clear. This is not a comparison at all, just a way to acknowledge our experience, because if your 2 were, devastating to you, if you lost a loved one or you were ill or somebody that was ill, you cannot compare that to someone else's. So this is not a comparison. It is an acknowledgement to help explain why you feel the way you do. Correct, Dr. Anita?
Absolutely. Like you said earlier, this singularly important question that you're bringing to the forefront right now, what happened to you? The you is as important as the what. What happened to you? Because what happened to you is going to have its own effect. The same event could happen to another person and affect them differently. They may have different personality. They may have different support systems, resources. Maybe one of you has had experiences similarly in the past that made this feel even heavier for you and someone else didn't. It doesn't matter. You can never know what happened to you. That's what matters.
I know that is such an important point to bring. So people are always comparing themselves to, wow, that person went through that and this didn't happen to them and they didn't feel that way. When in fact, the real truth is what you bring to whatever moment or whatever experience is what matters. That's why you're saying it's about what happened to you. So you can have 6 people from the same family. I say this all the time, particularly when we're talking about what happened to you. 6 people in the same family, living in the same household, who have a completely different experience about what went on in that household, because it's about what
100%.
you as an individual bring to it. So I think we need to learn to be okay treading water sometimes. It makes people feel like failures or they aren't doing enough, but sometimes that's okay. Dr. Anita, you found the idea of balance to be an unrealistic standard. You know, I remember in the 80s and the 90s, everybody was talking about work-life balance, work-life balance. I had one of my daughter girls who just started working last year and said to me, called me really upset after a month on the job and said, you know, I don't know if I really like this job because I don't think I have work-life balance. I said, girl, you better hang up this phone. There ain't no such of a thing. You calling me, who got up at 5:30 every morning for 25 years to talk about work-life balance? You better hang up this phone right now. So how has balance become a shackle, as you call it, for a lot of people?
Well, it started out as a good idea, right? That you wouldn't let work consume your entire life, that you'd make space to also be able to live your life and somehow balance the two. But this achievement oriented culture that we live in has just kind of sucked it away and made it a standard to reach. So now it's something that I must do and I must do perfectly, which is an imbalanced approach in the first place. So it's like, oh, I want to give 100% of myself to my family, 100% to my job, 100% to my friends, 100% to myself. That's 400% not possible. And then we want to do it all alone. And so we're not being cultivating interdependence to even support us in the process. There's an amazing book that I love about this topic that I totally recommend. It's called Off Balance. And it was written by a man named Matthew Kelly. And he says, trade in the idea of balance for the idea of satisfaction. And I love that because really the question is, how do I want my life to feel? I want it to, if I'm exhausted at the end of the day and I fall into bed, but if I love the way my life feels, I'm satisfied with my life, that's what I'm really after, more so than having these perfect scales balance everything out. And so I totally recommend that book. He has some great pragmatic exercises to help you break your life into pieces and assess satisfaction in each area, and then make the tiny adjustments that you might need to make to get the overall whole into a satisfying space. It's just a brilliant exchange.
I love that. It's about the satisfaction because yes, in all those years I was getting up at 5 a.m. for 25 years and I never missed a show. I was fueled by that. It was energizing for me. I felt like I was one with the audience. And so I got a lot of satisfaction from it. So, you know, if you are working, and perhaps maybe this has happened to you, what you just said earlier, Dr. Anita, is that a lot of people might have realized this year, maybe you're in the wrong job. Maybe this doesn't fulfill you. Maybe it doesn't bring the energy to you that makes you feel satisfied. And if that is the case, this was an important revelation for you. If you come out of this knowing, you know what, I know this isn't what I want to do anymore, or you come out of it knowing, I know that this relationship is not what I want to be in for the rest of my life, that is a victory. So where is Alpha? Alpha? Hey, Alpha.
How you doing, Oprah?
Hi, good to see you. Alpha, let me tell y'all, Alpha is incredible. Alpha is a single father of 6 children. He lost his wife 10 years ago, and the lockdown has triggered a lot of new feelings for him. And I hear you came to our vision tour in New York and also joined our virtual WW events. Thank you. We love it when cool men show up.
Thank you so much, Oprah. And let me just send a special shout out to all of the beautiful and strong, hardworking mothers out there, because those are the original essential workers. But thank you so much, Oprah, for having us.
Well, so I see your kids behind you, all being very quiet.
These are my kids right here.
I know you had the be quiet lecture before we started. Hey guys,
come on,
good to
come
see
over
you
here.
guys.
Come on, let me just introduce them to you, Oprah.
Okay, good.
So
Let's everybody see your beautiful children.
Okay. Say hi, Mikey.
Hi. Hi, Mikey. Hi, Mikey.
This is Ayana.
Hello.
Alexander.
Hi, Ayana. Hi.
Come on, Evie.
Hi.
Come on. Come on, Angel.
Hello.
Jeremiah, Elijah, come on the other side. Say hi to Oprah.
Hi, Oprah.
Hi. We have a whole bunch of people you're saying hi to today. So wonderful, wonderful. Alpha, what is your question for Dr. Anita?
Last year was definitely so it was so strange. You know, I thought the anxiety was high, and I felt a lot of times when I was out that I was confrontational and other people were confrontational. It just seems like it was so many people that were just, it was just everybody was mad. Even like when I was driving, the horns was different. Like, you know, people was pressing the horn. It was like extra 5 seconds or whatever the case was. But it just seemed like there was a lot of confrontation. You know, was there something because of the pandemic?
Yeah, there's a heightened sense of anxiety I think a lot of people were feeling. Dr. Anita, you want to address that?
Oh, for sure. Anxiety has gone through the roof, and it manifests as sometimes anger, aggressive forms of fear. And not only are people often trying to express that anxiety in ways that may come across as angry, but us being anxious are even more sensitive to other people's negative emotions.
Right.
So their emotions are bigger. Then when we receive it, it feels even bigger than that. And so there's this cycle of sensitivity, which is why our kindness is so critical at a moment like this. And unfortunately, I've read a few articles that suggest that people may actually become more selfish as we come out of this time. And I just hope people will be intentional about resisting that, because we can, just like we can put that kind of angry energy into the world, we can put peaceful energy into the world. And but it's difficult when you have a lot going on like you do inside of yourself, inside your own home. There's so much going on. It's like, where do I put this? So yeah, we need to try and put more positive energy out. It will make a difference. Yeah.
Definitely. I
With
think we
your
need
wife
more
gone,
love. Like,
with your wife gone, do your children still celebrate Mother's Day?
we celebrate it, but it's just at the cemetery.
Mm. Mm.
And that's where we're going to be at tomorrow. So, you know, I mean, the teacher asked me for Elijah's teacher asked me the other day, they was doing a project for Mother's Day and she didn't know how to deal with that. And I said, he'll probably do something for me.
Mm. Mm. But do you still integrate her, talk about her, bring her into the life of the children?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. We never miss. I mean, we know how great she was to all of us. You know, you know, when you're put in a situation where you have to find out, you know, I never had to find out which fabric softener, what tie to purchase before, what Palmolive is better than Dawn, or, you know, just a lot of different things where I was placed, you know, I had to like watch different cooking shows to cook for the kids because we just can't eat McDonald's every day, you know? So you're placed in a situation where you don't know how you're going to get out of it. And then a pandemic comes out of nowhere.
Well, we're so glad that you could join us today, and all the women on here who have been, you know, extraordinary moms are applauding you for stepping up and doing that job, because there are a lot of moms on here who've also had to play the dad role because there are no men present in their lives. And so I can understand why you would begin by saluting all of them, because now you understand how hard it is. Right?
Definitely. And I don't think that a lot of men really do understand until they put into the situation. So, you know, I didn't understand, you know, I would come home from work and just think that I was the breadwinner and grab my remote control and a hot plate of food. And I just didn't know how hard it was, you know, until you just have to just take that role. But, you know, I'm so happy with my kids, because without them, you know, they kind of inspired me as well as I inspiring them.
Well, thank you, Alpha. Inspiring to hear you today. Thank you so much. Thank you, kids. Let's go back to our workbook. What we know is that challenging times can also strengthen our resilience. And remember what we were talking about resilience earlier? You're not a Nerf ball, you're a hanger. Okay, you take the dents and you keep going. We all brought individual prior strengths into this experience, and we've all cultivated new sources of strength along the way. That's what we're talking about today, acknowledging the strength that you've been building. So on your workbook, check any of the examples of resilience that apply to you. So let's begin with connecting more with family and friends, perhaps via technology, just as we are today. Maybe some of you were able to focus more on your health. Were you able to help others? Did you have a deepening spiritual practice? I actually made walking with Stedman after dinner another ritual. More time outdoors. Practicing gratitude, such as journaling or personal reflection. Having therapy, online, support groups. Did you get a renewed hobby or project, such as home improvement? Sleeping better or more? May I say, that has been one of the great gifts for me. And I will have to say, with everything that I have been blessed with in life, I think the greatest luxury in the world is being able to wake up when your body wants to. That is it. That is it. Exercising or mindfulness practices like meditation, more conscious use of social media, choosing to be kinder to yourself, making that little pivot towards you. So how many sources of resilience did you identify? 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12. In the box you see on your Zoom screen, click on that total number range, hit submit. Let's see your numbers on the screen. Our strong 100 here. Oh, 10, 8, 12. Kim, let's hear that. Kim H, 12. Hello. Okay, so you were every one of them. You built some strength.
I did. I feel
Tell us about it.
I feel like during lockdown, I was alone. I'm a caregiver for my elderly parents. I ended up working from home and I don't have children, but I do take care of them. And I was really able to focus on my relationship with them and myself. I walked my dog every day. I connected online with online groups and support, made wonderful friends. I did church Zoom with my parents, all of it. And wow. I really feel like more connected than ever, like to my family, to my friends, to just everyone in the world, you know, and I'm just really grateful, more than I ever thought I could, and just closer to my mom, even though she just passed, like, yeah.
Wow. Did I see some 8s up there? That's terrific. That's terrific. Thank you, Kim, for sharing that. Okay, I saw a 9. Dr. Teresa Brown up there. Let's hear from you.
Yes, with one of the things that I did with my family that was so, I mean, it just made a humongous difference with my family is that we did Zoom calls. And it seemed like every month it was someone's birthday and my cousin would start the Zoom and it was only 45 minutes because it was free for 45 minutes. And we would try to sing happy birthday and then we would try to catch up with each other. And because my family is so spread out, I'm in Atlanta, my nephew was overseas, my other family was in Michigan. We were just spread out all over the US and outside of the country. But those Zoom calls, I mean, they really brought my family closer together, even in the midst of my brother passing during this time. I mean, we just all, if it was not for Zoom, I mean, there's no way that we could be as tight and as close as we are. It wouldn't have been that possible. And it was just such a wonder to be able to do that. And then also, you know, at the very beginning of the pandemic, it was just like I had some time and it was just like, well, what do I do with all of this restless energy? And I remember, you know, being at my cousin's house and I went outside and I did just shine on me just to, you know, just make me feel different. And just doing little things like that and just meditating meditating with my little cousin Rylan in the living room, and she was only 6 years old. We would just try to sit there, and I mean, it was just those little moments, and of family time. It just did wonders for us, and it was truly the foundation. And I don't know what we would do, what I would do without my family.
Well,
it did wonders.
Wonderful, wonderful for you sharing that. And I saw a lot of people nodding, let's give a shout out to Zoom, because had we even heard of Zoom before this? Yes, I think we had, because when we were building the WW tour, we started, Amy and Jenna and our whole team started, we're doing that through Zoom. And so I was hearing all this stuff about Zoom. But this past year, I think technology, and particularly Zoom, has now just become a part of our way of being, changed it for us all. And imagine what this would have been like, because many times I would think about 1918 and what people were doing. How did people even know in Omaha what people in Texas, what was happening to them? I mean, you didn't have television, you didn't have the communication system. So listen, it's been horrid for a lot of people, but at least the technology has helped, I think. And thank you for bringing that point to us. Like, Zoom has made a big difference for so many families and so many business and so many of us. So let's take a look at our collective results. 9% of you had 0 to 2 resilience sources. 37% had 3 to 5. 37 had 6 to 8, 17% had 9 to 12. So I think we're moving forward. We're springing forward with more strength. Blondie is a WW member and caregiver who scored a 12. And she says she tapped into her strengths during the pandemic to prioritize self-care. She also lost 25 pounds along the way. So you did the reverse COVID. You didn't have the COVID-15. You had the COVID minus 25.
I did. There was so much going on in 2020. We already knew stress existed. It's not new, right? But there wasn't this much stress at the same time. And correct. I don't know for anybody else, but what that forced me to do was eat. It's nurturing, it's comforting. Like Dr. Anita shared before, that emotional rhythm. Well, food helped me get back my emotional rhythm. And so I gained weight, and that 25 pounds crept up. By the end of December 2020, I was at the highest that I have ever been. And in January, I was like, enough is enough. I am not going to continue on this path in this way anymore. And we're going to do something. And I started making some changes, and I started deciding that I was going to put me first. And that is so hard as a life coach, as a mother of 4, and then finding out that one of those 4 has a special needs. She has a disability that we just found out about in 2020. So that's adding to all of this. So I already know that self-care is important, but it wasn't until 2020 and seeing all these things at once happening that I realized I have to put me first so that I can support the people that depend on me. These little human beings that rely on me, my clients that call me, like all of these people. And I'm like the last on my list, usually. I'm like the one, I'm like, everybody's good? All right, everybody's good? Y'all all right? Everybody has what they need? Okay, now let me see what I need. And that is such a difficult place to be in, is always caring, but not really receiving. And so now I'm in this beautiful space of, what does Blondie need? And what does that now look like?
Okay, Blondie. So look, I have been preaching this to people since I think 92 was when Cheryl Richardson, a very famous life coach, came on the Oprah show in 1992, Blondie. And this was when the first time this idea of putting yourself first on the list. And I remember her asking our audience, so tell me, where are you on the list? Put yourself on the list. And every single woman in an audience of 320 people had herself either at the bottom of the list or not even on the list, okay? This is 92. So then Cheryl says, you know, you need to be at the top of your list. People, the audience booed her. And I remember stopping and saying, hey, y'all, this is not the Jerry Springer show. We do not boo people here. And they were booing her and saying things like, how can she say such a thing? What a selfish thing. She must not have children. And I said, she didn't say leave your children in the street. She said, put yourself at the top of the list so that you will be able to take better care of your children. So can you tell us, you just so eloquently talked about how you transition, but what is the how of how you were able to shift the way you thought about it, not taking care of everybody first? What is the pivot that you can share? Because I think that's a number one issue, certainly at the top of the list, for women not being able to make that shift to prioritize themselves because they think it's selfish.
You know what the shift is? The shift is no longer believing that it's optional. That's the shift. Because I think many women, we think it's optional. And so we think, okay, I'll do me after I've done everyone else. But self-care now, if anything 2020 taught us, is that self-care cannot be optional. It has to be mandatory. Like I say, it needs to be up there with all of our other basic needs. I eat, I drink, I shower, and I care for me. And that takes many forms. It can be prayer, it can be meditation, it can be exercise, it can be eating well, talking to a therapist. I hope everybody has a therapist now. It can be just finding a place to scream and cry when you need to, going in the car. Listen, I am a strong believer as a mother about car therapy by myself before I go in the house. I don't know how many other moms do this, but I will sit in that car before I walk in that house and deal with anybody else. That for me is my self-care. Because I am taking a moment.
And Shannon giving you a shout out there.
Listen, yes. Before I have to go in that house and handle all these other people, I have to make sure that my mind and my space is good. If I have to read an audiobook in the shower, I will put audiobooks on in the shower. Like, it is no longer mandatory. Whatever I have to do to make sure I'm good. You know, one thing I do is retreats. And I know people are going to be like, what? In 2020, I had more hotel stays, solo locations than I did in 2017, 18, and 19.
Really?
Why? Because I had to, for my sanity. I honestly feel like that's one of the only reasons I'm sane right now, is because I said, honey, thank you, I love you, but I'm checking into this hotel and I will see you in a few days.
Wow. Well, that's wonderful that you had the ability to do that. And I think for people who have the ability to do that, you can't check into a hotel, go into the bathroom, put the toilet seat down, sit there, turn on the water for a while, and just be there with yourself, you know? Whatever it takes. Go out into the backyard, go into the closet. Just give yourself the time and the space that you need. So I think being able to make that pivot to it is no longer an option to think that you cannot take care of yourself first. That is huge. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to your workbooks. The last section is a formula we created. It's meant to inspire you to think about where you want to go now. So first, look at the sources of resilience. The sources of resilience. You check from the list in the previous exercise, from the boxes you checked, then write down what you think are your top 2 strengths. This is good. We're gonna call it out. What are your strengths? And now think of a new strength or goal that you would like to develop to create a stronger, healthier life right now, or just to keep building on those that you have. Write that down. Because here's a fact, strength times strength equals power. And now create your own strength times strength, whatever that is, whatever your strength is. Equal power formula by writing your top 2 strengths from the list and the new strength that you chose above. And so those 3 strengths combined equals your unique power. Just acknowledge that, how powerful you are. You gotten through a pandemic. Bob up there, let me see. Bob, is it Bob? Let me see yours. What did you say, Bob? I can't read what you said. Prayer, meditation, focus on love. Okay. Felicia Fair, let's see yours. Love it, Felicia. Gila Mercury, I love that. Patience and determination, inner strength equals. Oh, love, communication, forgiveness, wow. Dr. Perry and I call this kind of work our post-traumatic wisdom. And Dr. Anita, you call it post-traumatic growth. Either way, it means we're moving forward, correct?
Absolutely. And we're moving forward into a more beautiful shape. And I think the shape is what I always love to emphasize. You've been talking about how trauma and difficulties can turn us into that bent hanger. It changes the shape of the hanger, but guess what? That hanger is still metal. The identity of it, what you're made of is still you. And so now we can be reshaped into something even more interesting and beautiful than we started in shape. We haven't been made different, but we can be shaped different. And with regard to post-traumatic growth, that often includes just deeper relationships, more empathy for other people, stronger spiritual connections, seeing new possibilities. All of that can happen. But I do want to emphasize how post-traumatic growth can be, the chances of that can be increased. And one of the ways you can do that is through finding safe relationships to help you heal. Finding purpose in your pain, and intentionally processing your stress and your trauma. And Blondie hit it on the head. She talked about all these great things she did, but I want to point out that she said, I went somewhere and cried. I boohooed and cried, and releasing her emotion out of her body was probably so important to helping her to stop using food to feed it. And so when we're intentionally letting things out, that just clears the path for that kind of post-traumatic growth. And I want to encourage everyone to run for that post-traumatic growth, but do it on purpose.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, as Blondie was saying, finding a way to release that from your body. Because look at, you all can feel this. You can feel it in your body when you're just carrying it around. Particularly those those of you who have not fully grieved properly. And because we did not have the ability to have the rituals of funerals and participate, and now everybody knows how important that is, what that funerals are about, the person who has passed, but also about the gathering of the people who mourn and that grieving process. And so being able to let that stuff out of your body is so important. For me, taking a walk in nature does it. Also, just immersing myself in any kind of water, a great bath does it. But you should know by now in your life what it is that releases it for you. But if you don't release it, it means it's still in your body. And that's why so many people become ill. So each time we gather for these virtual experiences, I like to remind people that WW and I have a text number. It's become a wonderful way for us to check in with you all. And here it is on your screen, 917-924-4450. So everyone watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and this Zoom right now, I want you to write down that number and text me your strength, times your strength formula. We want to know the power that you plan to harness to spring forward stronger. And even if you don't text it to us, at least do it, because the power of writing the thing down is so much more impactful than just saying it out loud. That is why keeping a gratitude journal, or as I now call it, a book of delights, keeping your pleasures written down or what you're grateful for is so much better than just saying it out loud. It just is. I don't know why it's that much more effective. Why is that, Dr. Anita, writing the thing down?
There's something that brings it into a reality differently, because not only are you sometimes hearing yourself say it out loud, but you're physically moving to write it down. You visually see it as well. So the more sensory experiences you engage, the more deeply rooted that thing will become. And so writing gives us 3 ways to do that instead of just auditory, which would be hearing it.
Well, Dr. Anita Phillips, you have been wonderful for us today. Thank you for shedding some of your light. Your podcast is called In the Light. We just really appreciate your insights here today. Thank you for being with us here on this Saturday pre-Mother's Day. And blessed Mother's Day to you.
And to you.
So one of the most important things I've learned about strength is that you just need one person in your life who actually sees you, to listen to you, and who wants you to win. And if any of you have friends who are not that for you, you need to exit. You need to divorce those friends. I'm telling you, you need, because one of the most important things in your world, no matter what your life experience is to surround yourself with people who really see you and who want the best for you. You don't need one kind of snarky friend looking at you funny. You just don't, not one. I had a friend once, we were out shopping and she says, another black dress? You're gonna get another black dress? I didn't like the tone. Didn't like the tone, because I can get as many black dresses as I want. And so for you to judge my black dress, no. I didn't like the tone. So you want people whose tone is in alignment with yours. So I would have to say, I do not have a lot of friends. People would think that I do, but I do not. And that's really okay with me. And I've grown up that way. I have 3 people in my life that I know are always going to tell me the truth, no matter what. Gail, Stedman, my friend Bob Breen. Sometimes too much of the truth, they tell me. It's like, okay, I don't have to hear all of it. But anyway, I know Gail is my back, and I have hers no matter what. So for you, that could be a sister, or a partner, or a coworker, or a teacher, or a mentor, or your own best friend. It doesn't have to be a blood family member, okay? And you don't have to have that many. You only need 1 or 2. And I know this, fostering a relationship with somebody who will be there to support you, who will keep you accountable, who encourages you and picks you up when things fall apart, and you for them, is one of the most important principles of well-being, especially in this time, as Kim, you said earlier, being isolated this year and at least being able to talk to your parents and communicate with friends through Zoom. And of course, on Mother's Day, the rock in your life could always be your mother. And as you grow into adulthood, you too can be a source of strength for your mother, just like WW members Victoria and her daughter, Chloe. Their story proves that in any wellness journey, we are, as WW says, better and stronger together. Watch this.
My daughter is beautiful, charismatic, funny.
And my mom is literally the other half of me, the person that lights up every room.
Not only are we mother-daughter, but we are best friends. My weight loss struggle intensified when I had my children. You're so busy running around taking care of other people that oftentimes you forget to take care of yourself.
My mom is the official makeup artist for a lot of big international and national beauty pageants. So I was surrounding myself with beauty queens 24 hours a day. And I think I was just constantly comparing myself to everyone around me. Just the lack of self-love that I had, it was affecting a lot of different aspects of my life. I got engaged in April 2018. I was almost upset because I felt like my fiance didn't propose to me at a time where I was at a goal weight. And I couldn't even think about the most important part of my wedding, which is that I'm, marrying someone who loves me unconditionally. I tried on wedding dresses, just a few, and I just didn't love what I saw.
She didn't have the normal excitement in her eyes as other brides to be, because it was hard for her to imagine that she matched the beauty of the moment. So that's when I knew we had come to a place where there was nothing more important than us really focusing on our health. My friend started going to WW, and she kept losing and feeling great, and so I thought this is a good time to engage Chloe. And I sat her down and said, is this something that you would do with me?
I thought, sure, I'll join, and it totally catapulted me into this healthy lifestyle that I had never known. The secret of success is found in your daily routine. Planning ahead has been huge for me. If I know I'm going out to a restaurant, I'll check out on Yelp and look at the menu beforehand. And I like to plan out my movement too, because it also helps frame my mind for the day.
Chloe and I actually love going walking, but now we can do that together and have fun. The app has been a really powerful tool. The recipes have ignited my love for cooking and have given Chloe and I a hobby, shopping and cooking. And
I think it's almost been a bonding experience. Now I'm really excited for my wedding day, and I know that it's gonna be absolutely amazing and filled with nothing but love and excitement.
as she walks down that aisle, that is really a tapestry of all of the effort and love and self-care and all of the qualities that we learned on our WW journey, and really allow her authentic and magnificently beautiful self come through. And for a mother, there's no better gift than that.
That's the gift. That's wonderful. Chloe and Victoria, wow. Congratulations, 100 pounds you lost together. So is that pretty astounding to you both?
Actually, just hearing you say that, it's baffling. It's mind-boggling, really.
Really is something we never could have imagined.
Yeah. And the process has taught you what?
It is so many lessons.
Yeah, it's taught us so much about ourselves, that we're so much stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And it really taught us self-love along the way too, that we can love ourselves at every single step of the journey. It doesn't have to be at a goal weight or any type of goal. It's we're worthy along the way.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's a beautiful thing about WW. The moment you start tracking, I remember like after the first week, you start to feel better. You start to feel more in control. You start to feel like, I've got this. And Victoria, I know you thought you were doing this for your daughter, but it ended up being about you too.
Well, you know, Chloe and I really thrive on helping each other, and she's so selfless. And I knew that the way I could, you know, get her involved in this is just to sit her down and tell her I needed help and I needed the support. So I was trying to support her, and of course she jumped on the opportunity of supporting me. And I thought, you know, this probably won't work for me, because I was sure that in order to lose weight, you have to really be doing something that's difficult and unlivable, you know, and if you're indulging in things you like and doing other things, then that's not going to work. So I, you know, was just going for her. She bit the bait. I knew that there were a lot of components about the program that she would love, because we had a friend who achieved incredible success and it almost seemed effortless. So she did it. And all of a sudden I realized that not only was she succeeding at it, but I was succeeding at it. And we really embraced the lifestyle. So it's been great.
Wonderful. You both look great. And as you shared in the piece, it's not even just the weight. The weight is the big bonus benefit, but it's the process of stepping into your own confidence in a very different way. So thank you, mother and daughter, for sharing that. Thank you. We share these stories of success not just for the big weight loss reveal. The most important is understanding how they did it. So we're going to post Chloe and Victoria's story and their How I Did It list on our Instagram channel, WW Now. And it's where you can find all sorts of extra inspiration from today's event and even more. So thank you, Chloe and Victoria. Chloe, you have something to say to your mom. What was that?
I do. It's a little surprise. We're probably going to cry again. Mom, you've always been my guiding light, and you've shown me how to, you know, fearlessly face any adversity and how to really passionately go after anything we want and we dream. So this journey has really been no different. You took me by the hand and guided me to become the best version of myself and really find these things that I love and find the love for me too. So I can't thank you enough. And, you know, this Mother's Day, of course, I want to celebrate you, but every day is a Mother's Day to me, to be able to celebrate you and what you've done for me. Thank you.
Oh, we love that. You know what I love? Best version of yourself. 'Cause that's what WW is here to do. Thank you for sharing that with your mom today.
Thank you.
Thank you. These success stories are one of my favorite things about WW, and there are millions of WW members just like Chloe and Victoria who are living their best lives actually because they made the choice to do that, to be well, to step into the seat of wellness. And I hear stories like that all the time. People stop me to tell me how WW is what shifted everything for them and changed their life, their friend's life, their husband's life, their children. And the ripple effect becomes far-reaching. So this past week, I've been talking a lot about the importance of sharing your story because it helps others know that they are not alone and their journey matters. And we want to hear your story. So use that hashtag #MyWWStory, post your story on your social channels like Instagram and Facebook, and that way we can see it too. We want to know how you did it. How did you do it? And most of all, we want to know how it feels to feel so good. So not to mention, that's how we found many of our studio audience members here today. Your transformation has the power to transform other people's lives. Know that. So I'm excited to bring in more sunshine to our day today. She's been famous since she was a cutie pie in pigtails at 7. We've watched her grow up before our eyes and rooted for her every step of the way. And now she is an award-winning actress, a businesswoman, and host of her own talk show. I was just on, had such a great time, but her favorite role is mom. Please welcome Drew Barrymore.
Hello.
There you are.
And thank you so much for having me on. Thank you. I look a little blurry in yours. Is it okay?
No, I think you look great to me. Is she blurry
really?
to you all?
Okay. I go straight to technical and producer mode. I'm like, I look blurry.
So you've said that healthy is your mission of 20. You've said healthy is your mission of 2021, but you want it to be doable. I love that, Drew. Talk about that.
Yeah, Chris, will you make sure that it's clear enough for them if there's any adjustments we need to make? I think this is a good forum also to talk about extremes. And I know that whenever I place an extreme on myself, I tend to fail, especially in the health and wellness department. I just, I'm eating perfectly, I'm working out, I'm feeling good. And then I start this calendar system, oh, wow, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, and then I'm going to take the weekends off, and then I'm going to do this and that. And I make this grand plan, and it always blows up in my face. Part because I'm a really inconsistent human. I think that's probably due a lot to a lifetime of, on the positive side of that, I'm extremely adaptable. I will go anywhere, anytime. Oh, you need me in Shreveport for 3 months? Well, great, I'm moving there. Oh, you need me in Istanbul next week? Oh, I got to go to Australia next. Wherever I need to be, I will go. I have had a life, my whole life, of you never know where the day is going to take you, and it's adventurous, and it's malleable, and it's, I think there's a great capacity that comes with not being so staunch about having everything to be so type A and planned. The flip side of that is that I'm always scrambling to create this stability and these systems. And I find when I just go too all in and I think I've got it all mapped out, I just fall off that horse. And then don't even get me started on the shame spiral and the self-loathing that comes right alongside with that. So I think that elusive, I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this, but I'll say B, I think we all know what that stands for. That elusive B named balance has been this cat fight my entire life. I'm pulling her hair, I'm hissing. I'm like, why can I not achieve balance? And that's the word that everybody throws around as this secret of life.
That's why I love Dr. Anita saying earlier that it needs to be satisfaction. What is bringing you satisfaction? Because this whole balance now is unreasonable. It's unreasonable for most people.
You're honestly one of the first people, none other than in Oprah We Trust is saying this. I can't even believe it. I'm so shocked because there has been this mythological creature named Balance that especially women, again, I don't always know what it's like for men, although I think I have quite a masculine side in me and I love androgyny and I want to always feel like since I was a kid, I was welcomed in places and I didn't want to come in angry and I wanted to believe I was welcomed there and how much I loved. We have two genders. Why would we negate either of them? But I do know what it's like to be a woman firsthand. And that is a word that haunts us as women.
Yes.
Balance.
That's what Dr. Phillips was saying earlier too, that it haunts us. And I've always said this, you can have it all, you just can't have it all at once. And to think that you can have it all at once, that is unreasonable. And one of the things, particularly if you're a single mother, I know you know this because we were talking about it on your show earlier in the week with Dr. Perry. One of the things that he says that is so striking to me, it's on page 206 for those of you who have the What Happened to You book. He says, we're the only country in the world, Drew, only society that insists that a single woman or single parent like Alpha does it all, that no other culture in the world, in the history of the world, has believed or understood that one person was supposed to manage everything. That is just not the case. It is not normal. It is not natural, because in all other cultures and societies, there is like a 4-to-1 ratio where you have grandparents, or you have an aunt, or you have a community leader, a tribes person, the head of the village, who is also a part of the taking care of the children. And so this notion that a single mom is supposed to do the whole thing, or single dad in the case of Alpha and all the other people, dads out there who are doing that, it's unreasonable. So the reason you feel like you want to crack is because it's a crack up kind of situation. So you said last year that is not a time to get lost, it's a time to be found, right? You say you're big on routine, so what kinds of things throw you off?
Well, ironically, being so adaptable, the pandemic reminded me so much of having babies. I was like, oh, I recognize this. I really do. You're home. It's life or death. I mean, it's a joke. We tell ourselves all the time, it's not life or death. So just take that off the stress plate and get grounded and focused about what the realities of the scenario you are dealing with. And when it's new babies or a pandemic, life and death are absolutely at the forefront. They are the realities. So this fight or flight feeling that takes over, and some moms are kind of casual and feel capable. I wasn't one of those. I was in a state I thought was just it was not going to be sustainable. I was so scared. I've never cared so much. I just couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. It wasn't just hormones. It was true fight or flight. And I knew weeks in, I wasn't going to make it. And I felt exactly the same way at the beginning of the pandemic. And I thought, oh, wow, this is a very familiar feeling. So if anybody felt like that at the beginning of having babies, there was a familiarity to it. And I felt right back in that place. I knew that I survived that with babies. Nobody knew if they were going to survive. So I felt that adaptable. I can get thrown into any scenario and figure this out. That was soothing to me. Because I would, as much as I'd love to establish routines, I'm so used to the rug being pulled out that I was like, okay, so this is what we're doing and this is how we will do it. But I was with everybody in the fight or flight where we were all so scared and we didn't know what was going to happen. But I strangely was reminded of times where I did make it through with having the babies and being at home and not going out and not leaving the house and everything being so life or death oriented that I felt like I've been here before. And that was a very weird, I didn't expect that old past fear would come as a comfort now.
So what is raising your daughters, what is raising your daughters, 8-year-old Olive and 7-year-old Frankie this past year taught you about motherhood?
It taught me that I was capable of things I did not know I was capable of.
I think everybody can give an amen to that, right? That's true. You've done things you didn't know you could do. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I'm not very complimentary of myself. I'm not one of those women who's like, I'm every woman and I can do it. I'm much more comfortable in a self-flagellating, self-loathing, like, how can I do things better? Why can't I fix this about myself? I'm constantly always nipping at my own heels. So for me to say that is such growth, I can't even tell you. I feel like the past person in me who had to raise myself is always a taskmaster. I didn't get that love and praise from my parents. I had to be my own parent. So it's like, you will fix this. You will do this. That is the state I'm always in with myself. So for me to say, I realized I was capable and I'm so happy with my strength is the biggest growth spurt I think I've ever had in my life, because it will always be, what do I need to fix? Not recognition of what I've done right. So
that's fantastic. Fantastic. Give yourself a round of applause for that, Sister Drew. Really.
You.
So you've often said that you are marching in the army of, what is that phrase you say all the time?
Optimism. And I'm looking for recruits.
And you're looking for recruits. Wow. That's why we love you so much. Your daughter, Frankie, I know, recently asked you the meaning of life, such a big question from a 7-year-old, and your answer was so simple yet beautiful. Will you share your answer?
Yes. We were alone. We had been alone for weeks on end, and we were separated. And, you know, everyone I knew and worked with, ideally our country, you know, needs to embrace the rest of the world on community and tribe. But in the pandemic, all bets were off. It was understandably and empathetically an every man for themselves situation. And so my daughters and I found ourselves alone for quite a long time. And we were sitting, she was in a bath, I was sitting on the toilet, not going to the bathroom, just using it as a chair. And she goes, Mom, what's the meaning of life? And I was like, do you mean like, how exactly do you mean this? I want to answer the question correctly. Do you mean like, why are we here? Like, what's it all about? And she was like, you know, what is the meaning of life? And I was like, okay. And I closed my eyes and I truly had what I believe they called divine intervention, because this saying, it didn't have a voice to it. It just came about in very connected, clear, coherent words strung together in a sentence. And it said, again, voiceless, but it was as clear as anything I've ever heard. We are here to take care of each other. And I opened my eyes and I said, Frankie, I believe the meaning of life is that we are here to take care of each other. Wow. And I'm so relieved that was the answer. It made so much sense to me. I'd never put it in those terms. I had never had that as a marching order in those words. And yet it feels so true to my heart.
It resonates. As you said it, everybody's nodding because it resonates. So yes, you did call on some divine power to come up with that answer. That's pretty powerful. And you shared on your show that you got a new tattoo with special meaning. Will you tell us what that is?
I did. Here it is, if you can see it. It's sort of a nondescript cursive font.
Is
not
where
cursive,
we are.
maybe not lose that in our school, please. It says home is where we are. And the reason I came up with that saying was because, you know, I never had that stable family growing up, and that's okay. Like, I can't be more humorous, at peace, and not only okay with it, I just don't believe that if anything had happened differently, I would be where I'm at the many stages of which I've been happy to be at. And the stages I wasn't, I had to fix. And sometimes it took longer than I wanted, and sometimes it didn't. But, you know, I think this Mother's Day is a great reminder. Chloe, I just love what you said to your mom so much. And I hope that I can live up to being someone that my daughters will feel that way about. And Alpha, you know, I don't know why you're not the keynote speaker. I don't know what I am. This conversation, this whole thing should be with, I'm so glad. I was so moved by everything you said. You are definitely my hero for sure. I really didn't know what home meant. It was kind of this fantasy that I had that I knew I never really had. Adaptable, malleable, I'll go anywhere, anytime, but what was home? What was the thing? And I thought when I had kids, I wanted this really stable home. Mom, dad, and it could be gay or straight, it doesn't matter what the love was. 2 parents was the goal. And a home, maybe even one that my kids would come into and say, oh yeah, this is the home where I grew up. And they'd be kind of nonchalant about it because it would just have been so available that it wasn't like a overly meaningful thing to them. How could I make life so stable that they almost were casual, almost let them even be slightly assuming about it all? That's how strong and stable this home I'm going to make for my kids now that this is my chance. Well, I ended up finding myself in divorce. I ended up finding that in order to, their dad moved to New York. I didn't want my children to be away from their father. And I love his family and we're very close. And even though we had a divorce, we said, let's not misstep. Let's just carry on like we are a family, because we are a family. And for the first time in my life, I thought, I know what family is. And it's, you don't, you know, I'm not giving up on this. So no, we're not married and we don't live in the same place, but let's celebrate holidays together. Let's celebrate birthdays. Let's be down the street from each other. Let's have parents visiting day. Let's just have this community that's so strong, since, you know, this one aspect of it is not able to maintain. And I had to sell my home in Los Angeles, which is where I carried my children through the threshold from the hospital. And this was the home I swear I would come out of feet first. It was the home I built for myself. I had had it for 20 years. It was the home I swore would be my kids. This was my childhood bedroom. And when I had to sell that home in order to move to New York, it was as hard as the divorce itself. It was like I was giving up. I was doubling down on the giving up of the dream. What I realized is, like your problems, which will follow you in any geographical location, so will your home, as long as you're with the people that you love. Life changes, things happen, plans change, control has to have a sense of humor. And that home, I've now figured out what the definition of home is. It's wherever we are. It's wherever I am with my kids. And
it's where you choose to build it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
and
what you have done.
So liberating to realize that. And it just heals everything about my childhood. It makes me look forward to everything in my future. And it is a true liberation to stop holding on to what you think is this ideal, and not also being held back by the fact that you might have not had your ideal. This Mother's Day is a great chance for us to let it go. If we did not have the relationship like Chloe and her mom have, if we don't have a mom we can check in with, or we didn't have a childhood or a mom, maybe our mom, is what kind of punted us into a series of difficult things in our lives, or didn't protect us, or said things, or whatever traumas might have come from our mothers, or triumphs, or everything in between. This is a great time to hold on and appreciate every good thing that was there, but to let go of anything that wasn't as ideal as it could and should have been, and rebuild and give to others what you would have ideally liked for yourself.
Yeah, that's what you do. You take whatever pain, you turn it into your power. Drew, thank you so much for being so open, so vulnerable, for bringing a ray of light to us today. I hope you have a beautiful Mother's Day tomorrow.
Well, if spending it with you guys doesn't make and constitute a well-rounded, healthy, incredible Mother's Day, because the power of choice to me is so important, and everybody choosing to be here. And I listened to the whole forum and took notes on every little thing everybody was saying. I did my workbook as well. And by the way, I'm in the 6 to 8, so that was pretty good. I will be checking in with therapy. I appreciate everything Blondie said, and I made my commitments. And I thank you for letting me into a place like this, because breaking cycles, making these commitments, taking control of our lives, appreciation of everything we have, and it's so important.
There's nothing like
and
it.
this day,
Nothing like
time
it.
has such significance. And I dedicate my Mother's Day to Alpha. By the way, you're the best mom and dad I've ever seen. You're incredible. And I just thank you, Oprah, and your entire team for having me today on this significant weekend that is so beautifully triggering and empowering, and it's just a powerful weekend for people. We all came from someone and somewhere, and to acknowledge that and take ownership of our lives and make our life about taking care of others and loving, as well as figuring out how we take care of ourselves along the way, is vital, so we can keep giving. But I thank you so much, because this for me is such a gift to take this with me into Mother's Day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Drew. Drew Barrymore, thank you so much. That's why we.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. And happy Mother's Day.
All right, happy Mother's Day. That's why we come together on these Saturdays, to share the light with one another. And in honor of our reimagined and expanded idea of Mother's Day this year, I want to shine a special light on our 100-strong in-studio audience, the faces that you all see on the screen. Let's see you all. Each of your stories is an expression of the force for good that you've created in these extraordinary times. We're showing your faces there. That's beautiful. You were invited here because I want you to know that we see you, that you are seen. I know what you did to keep all those plates spinning this year. What you have done matters, and your loved ones want you to know what you mean to them too. So all of you on camera here, the 100 Strong, have been talking to my producers all week. But what you don't know is that we reached out to the people in your lives so that they could share the words that they feel most reflect their profound gratitude to you on this reimagined Mother's Day. So we've been going behind the scenes. So Beth L., where are you? Beth, your husband Kenneth said, when Beth dropped me off in the emergency room, she looked me in the eye and she said, honey, you are going to make it. We didn't just survive, we're thriving, he says, because of you. His words for you are, a bright light that illuminates our home and shows us all that we matter. That's what he said about you, Beth. Okay, where is Yvonne K from Phoenix? Yvonne? So Yvonne, here's what your best friend Carrie says. She says that there's nothing you won't do for your patients as a nurse, and her words for you are inspirational, and you are a leader, and she says she wants to be just like you. So where's Fanula? Fanula. There you are, I see you. Fanula, your sister Sheila says that you are the epitome of your grandmother's creative spirit. And her wish for you, Fanula, is that you create more time to take care of yourself like you take care of everyone else. She wants you to take Blondie's advice. Where's Jessica M from Pine City, New York? Hi, Jessica. Your best friend Melissa told us you are joyful, you are a blessing, and calls you her lifeline during this pandemic. That's what she says. Alessandra M from North Carolina. Where are you, Alessandra? Okay, your husband says that you are smart and you're so compassionate. And he says, I stand in awe of your strength as you care for our daughter with leukemia. That's what your husband said. Alpha, your cousin called you an inspiration and says that you are proof that men and single fathers do step up to the plate. He also helped us reach out to your children, and here are their words for you. Your children say, love, that's what our dad is. He's the glue that holds this family together. Hardworking, that's what our dad is. And your son Alexander says, you are a man everyone should aspire to be. So while there isn't time to say every special word for each one of you, we're gonna send them to you because we asked everybody in your family, in your circle of friends, in your important tribe members. So when we heard all of these words and feelings being shared, the common thread between you, 100 strong, is that you have already demonstrated strength beyond imagination. Strength is already your power, in case you didn't know that. And your loved ones all agreed without a doubt that everybody on screen here today, you deserve a rest. I love that line. Those of you who joined us on the WW tour heard Jesse say that every time we meditated, you deserve rest. I just thought that was so powerful. And when people heard it for the first time, many people started crying, you deserve rest. So I got to thinking about that. Been nearly 10 years since I've had the chance to surprise an entire studio audience like our 100 strong today with something wonderful. And I kind of miss that. I really miss saying, look under your seats. So I talked to WW, and of course, they said, okay, Oprah, what you want to do? So after all, they are the world's partner in wellness. And are you ready, 100 strong? Listen up. Listen with both ears, as Gail often says. When I have something important to say, she goes, let me put my glasses on and listen with both ears. WW and I are sending all 100 of you real life superheroes in our studio audience today on a dream getaway to the award-winning luxury retreat, Miraval Resort and Spas. So you and your guest, you and a guest, get to go to any one of Miraval's 3 stunning locations. Okay, and this is what you're gonna get. Gourmet meals, relaxing spa treatments, exhilarating hikes, lounging by the pool. You, the people you see on camera, and a guest are going to Miraval. And all of your friends and family say you so deserve it. So Gail and I once, if you all watched the Oprah show, may have remembered this. We took a group there years ago to Miraval, had so much fun. But this trip, you get to design for yourself. This is yours. Relax, get a facial if you want, read a book if you want, do a hike if you want, do the rope exercise, which had me laughing till I was crying over Gail. Or don't do the rope exercise, because this is now your dream getaway, Michelle. Close your mouth. Hush your mouth, Michelle D. I see you up there. This is now your dream getaway. And as we start to open back up, when the time feels right to you to schedule this trip this year, Miraval will be waiting for you and a guest. Okay? You and a guest. Woo! 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 I love this moment. I love it. I love it. Okay. I know everyone watching from Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube is delighted to see good things happen for good people. Okay? But I got news for y'all too. You too can join the fun. Miraval and WW wanted to extend their goodness beyond our on-camera audience today. So they've arranged for an additional 50 people and a guest to win a trip to Miraval too. So that's all total 100 trips there. So go to www.com/Oprah for all the rules and details if you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube right now. Okay, so in total, WW is sending 300 people to an all-inclusive, once-in-a-lifetime trip to Miraval Resorts and Spas. That's a way to spring forward, Tamika Trevor. That's so great. Michelle, close your mouth up there. I mean it. As we close out this Saturday morning, I want to say thank you. I know what it takes to find this kind of time in your schedule today, and we've gone over, I know, but it's worth it because you're going to Miraval. And even though you're at home, you still had to make sure all of your responsibilities were covered so that you could be with us and be well. Marcy, you're crying so hard. Put a smile on your face up there. Nancy, I see you. Nancy Brooks, put a smile on your face. You're going to Miraval. And that means so much to me that you all were here today. So as Coach Shayla was saying in the beginning, I keep a list. I have volumes of gratitude, of things that delight me now, I'm calling it. Not just gratitude journals, but a delightful journal. And it's my version of a gratitude list. And every single one of you here today are going to be at the top of my delighted list, especially seeing your faces, and you, Michelle D., who couldn't close your mouth. So you're already a force for good, and you have the power to be that force for everybody else. So thank you all. I hope you can feel that. I hope that everybody watching today, this allows you to make a pivot, just a little pivot, Tina, towards yourself, Tina St. Martin. I hope to see all of you next time. So thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day. And Alpha, you're the one. We loved you. Thank you.